I'm so happy to have my next guest, Susan Semeniw. She is the owner and the founder of Divine Intervention Matchmaking. She's in quite a few places. She has her main office in Vancouver, but she also is in Calgary, in Toronto, and
Edmonton.
Edmonton,
Like,
yeah.
so Alberta, yeah.
To Alberta, and also in BC, not just Vancouver, but central BC, so all over BC. And also you deal with the States and Europe and different places where whoever contacts you. It's more than 15 years that you have this business. And what I like about you, about how you approach this business, it's not one size fits all, but you take each individual and you are playing on their strengths, and you are helping them to show those strengths when they're going to meet that special person. Also, you're taking out the stress, looking on dating apps, so you get rid of all the trolls. And yeah, your success is amazing. And I have been talking to some of your clients, and they are so pleased, and they are very happy with you. So welcome. And we were talking about that we're going to bring up how dating changed after the pandemic. And we're going to talk about the most stressful day of the year. It's Valentine's Day. So hi, Susan.
Thanks, Eva. You always make me laugh. And I love working and collaborating with you. I just think you're so fantastic, and you have amazing insights into the humans as well. So that's great. Thank you. And we're both very collaborative, which is terrific. And that's our business too. So I collaborate with a lot of experts, and it takes a village, sort of like to raise a family. And it takes a village of experts sometimes to help people. So we customize, yes. So you wanted to start off about some of the trends during COVID that emerged for dating. Is that good for you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like the one thing that I want to talk about. It's like how interesting and how people found a way to walk around the pandemic, and how they become very how you call it. They had all these ideas, like having lunch or with the neighbor, just looking across the window, and all kind of crazy things. And I think it's exceptional that people can always find the strength to be the best. So can you tell me how it changed? Because you are really dealing with the people, and you were dealing with people during the pandemic. So what is
one of the key, so my one of the biggest things that happened, something just happened on my computer screen. Hold on. Am I still there?
Yes, you are here.
Okay, so one of the biggest things about COVID is it exposed our closest relationships. So it shone a spotlight on them. So because there was no other distractions, and it went through, ebbs and flows, sometimes you couldn't see anyone. So if you were alone, people felt quite alone and realized that they wanted to be with someone in their life. And quite frankly, any interaction was really valued. So even a pet was like such a big thing, or your friendship circle, became really strong. So if you had a good relationship with people during COVID and you still got to see them, that became much stronger. And if your relationship wasn't good, because we didn't have distractions out of the house, it exposed a lot of cracks in the relationship. So one of the key things that happened is a lot of people ended up going back to an ex. So better the devil you know than better the devil that you don't know. So you can coexist during that time. And then the relationship after blew up. It was sort of like a relationship of convenience at that time to be together with someone. And post-COVID, I have a divorce lawyer, family lawyer in my group, and it's universal that the divorce rate did spike, and it was often initiated more by women. So a lot of men were back in the house, and they weren't so happy with what maybe was going on in terms of the contribution or not. So that was one thing. But the people that managed to connect during COVID and that got along well, they maintained and solidified that union. So there's like two extremes in a sense. So whatever worked really, really well, and people were really thankful. And whatever had potential cracks that weren't being dealt with before became like wider chasm. So yes, and then people really looked faster to try to connect with someone, not in terms of hooking up, but trying to get momentum going. So that was like a key thing.
It's interesting. Yeah, I heard that many couples, they just quit because they realized, like somebody said, like, it's okay. Even the pets were saying, it's okay, you are home, but now it's time to go to give me some peace. So,
yeah, no, exactly, for sure. And then another thing too that happened is casual sex was down. So, you're talking about the dating apps, like you couldn't just go out randomly and start hooking up with someone because you didn't know what was going to happen. So there was a cautionary vibe, and people took longer to get to know someone who's of connection and intimacy, and that life is better when you share it with someone. And one thing about an unhealthy relationship, it's great to do the ditch because it's better to be alone than with someone that just zaps your energy, that doesn't work for you as a complementary partner. And then there's this whole rise of intentional dating, like you're dating with purpose. And a lot of attributes that someone looked for in a partner changed too. They wanted something that was going to be longer term, that was significant, looking at more kind of intrinsic qualities than just a lot of, let's say, superficial things. Like in terms of a large survey, Match is like the largest company, they do an annual survey. And physical appearance went from like 90%, most important, down to like 79. And it was things about how someone makes me feel, do I feel valued? Are we on the same page with a lot of things like that too? So it's looking about a solid foundation for moving forward.
you know what I like, that when previously, before the pandemic, people were going out and they were like, really, like you said, they were looking for the physical and is there an attraction? But this time they had to rely on the phone. They had to rely on talking, on expressing. And basically they found the foundation and values, to see the values are the same. Because when you're just looking at the physical, you are just, okay, let's go to bed, let's have fun. But when the honeymoon is over, what are you going to talk about? And I think this was, in a way, a good thing that happened. Don't you agree?
No, I do. And so we did a lot of, you and I even, I think, talked about this, how to give good phone and how to give good Zoom. So not always texting. And a new trend that's emerged, it's totally normal now to have a Zoom date first, to check someone out and see if you want to know more. And it's actually an inexpensive way to see if there's a potential for a connection in chemistry, and you get the nerves out of the way. And I'm always for move off of online, and try to move from texting to at least picking up the phone or a Zoom before you go to real life. So it was a way to, as you said, have that slow getting to know someone interaction that was more deep and thoughtful. And I think that's still here to stay in terms of a lot of people too, because everyone's worried about finances as well in terms of what's going on with the world. It's a very economical way to kind of do a preliminary check of someone. That's not going anywhere.
It's great because if you go out with someone and you're going for a supper, you cannot just get up and leave. But if you are on Zoom, you can say, oh, technical difficulties, and you just shut it off, and that's it. And you say, I'm sorry, I didn't work. So,
yeah. And I also think Zoom is probably better than FaceTime. I find a lot of people, when you're older or more mature, don't look as great on FaceTime because things fall down. So Zoom, is good to look in the computer like face to face, and you can really look at your backdrop and how you present. You look always amazing on Zoom, by the way. So yeah.
Well,
thank you.
It's important. I mean, if we are going to talk about something relevant about people, about how to present themselves, how to go to a date, it's important that they they have an idea how to prepare and how to look and how to speak. So I think those are those are the base, the communication and how you present yourself, because women, we pay attention to details. And
Yeah.
if the details are like the shoes are not clean, or the nails are dirty, or somebody shows up in one of those stained t-shirts, you thinking, okay, how that is going to work out in the long run. It's okay that the women are the ones that they're going to tell the guy, okay, how to dress. And I'm not saying, and we were talking about this, to just eliminate a person because maybe it's not the way dressed that you would like them to be dressed. You always have a choice in that, but the personality that's there.
Yes, and that's when we call 911, someone like you, someone who knows what they're doing, like you, to say, here's the potential. The great news is, someone has to be receptive to change, and you can always inherently change that. So don't dismiss someone totally if there's potential and there's a kind heart. And I say women really often do make men better, and they all might need a little bit of sprinkling of fairy dust too. So,
Absolutely.
and then, yeah, sorry, and you know that, right? Presentation is everything. I mean, we are so visual and quick to dismiss, so you have to put in an effort, but you can also help shape someone that may not know exactly what they're doing. And there's so many different too, that was a key thing. And you and I would talk about this too, is, the vaccine status became a key thing for dating too, like in terms of the passport and the restrictions and people that wanted to mix with an anti-vaxxer or not. So that was a whole other conversation. And I know everyone from every walk of life, but it became an issue sometimes for people in terms of pairing up together. And it's interesting. And I always say, you have to remain open-minded, but it was another thing that kind of came out of that. And yes, we're technically out of the pandemic, but a lot of the residual after effects are still here for a long time to come. So it depends on what city you live in terms of, what's available in terms of restrictions.
I don't know. I heard something that somebody came up with a dating app that only for non-vaccinated. So people, they know, who they want to hook up because they have the same mindset. And that was important for them.
Yeah, we set up a great couple. One was vaccinated, one wasn't. And the woman was the one who wasn't vaccinated. And she goes, I can't, and even though they got along great, after several months, it didn't work out, which was unfortunate. But yes, that can be a thing. So there's an app or there's a niche for everything out there, right? And I think anything proactive is really positive. And just about talking about the apps and the trolls and stuff like that, we do have people who are online specialists. If someone hasn't done online dating, it can be a lot of work. They know how to go in there and manage someone's profile and weed out, the trolls or whatever. They have a good eye for what's possible because it does take a lot of work. And then just back to the people in general for dating, people either became pickier or they became more open-minded. Like everything, it was kind of like two ends of the spectrum and not always something in the middle. So, technically open-minded on a lot of qualities, but some people still became, restricted more. So it'd be great. The more open-minded and expansive someone else, I always say, the better the chance of success. And I know you think about that all the time too.
Yeah. And also, I don't know if you observed that women who were very picky sometimes, and women are more picky than men, let's face it, they have to know that what is important for them. And if they don't sit down and do their diligence to find out who they are and what are their values, they just go out on a date, they're just wasting their time. You remember I talked about that lady who had in 1 year 200 something first dates.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah, actually now she's with someone and she's very happy.
That's excellent.
But she took a break. She took a break and she worked on herself. She found out what she really wants, and she approached in a very different way. But you have to be open and to see what you like, what you don't like, what the other person likes, And no, you don't have to be on the same page with everything. But if you have to know, like, sometimes when you don't like a person anymore, even if they cough, it irritates you. So you have to know, or, blow their nose, and it's like, what the hell, like, I just don't want him around or her around. So basically, getting to the point that you know what you can put up with.
That's called the ick factor. So when someone irritates you, they irritate you more, for sure.
Yeah.
But you can always try to work and resolve things through communication and confrontation and conflict resolution in a nice way. But I love that woman, after all of those dates, came to the realization of, working on herself and what was good for her. And at the end of the day, it's how someone really makes you feel when you're with them. Like, a lot of people think, oh my God, I need to have this, knock your socks off sexual chemistry, but it's, how does that person make me feel when I'm with them? Do I want to learn more about them? Am I curious? And I think one of the most important things is to give someone a second or third chance as a given. Unless the first date is a total disaster, like, let them reveal themselves, who they are, because people, develop differently and they show themselves well. So you want, or differently, sorry. And you want to have like that slow kind of build up and chemistry. So as long as someone makes you feel good when you're with them and you're intrigued and you want to know more, that sexual chemistry can definitely build, for sure. And I'm all for, if you're not sure about someone after a few interactions, go in for the kiss and see if there's something there.
Yeah, definitely. I remember she said that she kissed one of the guys who was following the Sasquatch, and I said, how was the kiss? And she said, it's like kissing a Saint Bernard. So
nice. Yeah, double thumbs down on that one. That's not good at all.
That's not something that you want. But also, it's like, you have to, I mean, so many people, they had already marriages and they go into the second, the third one. Actually, I was laughing because I looked into a little bit about the Valentine's Day, and you know who was the first king who introduced Valentine's as a holiday? It was Henry the Eighth.
You're kidding.
Yeah, and he had 6 wives. He decapitated 2 of them.
Yeah.
But he still believed in those things, but he had to know what you want, really. I found it funny. I was laughing here, and I said, I can't believe a guy who had been married 6 times, he still believed in love.
Yeah, and decapitates the ones that he was loving until he didn't want them anymore. So that's the kind of love I don't want. But no, it's fascinating, the history, for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, it's so where you think that this dating is going? I know it's a lot of social media and everybody wants to look they are the best. Everybody wants to pretend to put their best foot forward. But many times when you go on a date, it's a pretension. It's not the real you. And if you show the real you, might be even greater than the pretense you. Don't you agree?
Well, I think you have to be careful of how much you reveal to yourself. So dating is a game and you have to know how to play it properly. So I always said, you can't handle the truth. And so women are often fault finders looking for reasons to dismiss people. So you always want to present your best foot forward, and you do want to hold some mystery. And you definitely have to be yourself, but you have to be slow to reveal certain things about you, and you want to reveal the positive. So in terms of what you want to reveal, people want an intimate connection so fast, and they just spew too much. And so one of the things I always say is you never go on talking on a first, second, third date in the beginning about your exes. Don't talk about dating. Don't talk about your past. Like, you want to focus on the other person and establish common ground. And I think you want to continuously see how you connect, and you want to have fun in the beginning too. So you want to do an activity that maybe bonds with you. You want to have great conversation, but you really want to focus on the other person and reveal really good things. You can talk about your family as long as they're not crazy, like present the positive stuff. Talk about some of your dreams and your careers. It's all about presentation. And in the beginning, you do want to be positive in your presentation because people have to wait. We all have stuff. We all have issues, but it takes a while for the other person to understand and get that. So when you're dating in the beginning, the person in front of you is not your best friend yet. So just be mindful of that and how much you reveal. And trust and a connection takes some time to build. So try different activities and conversations to build up that momentum.
And also, when you are on the date, listen more. Don't always talk about yourself, but listen to the other person, ask questions, because that's the only way you're going to find out if that woman or man, it's somebody you would like to be in relationship with.
Yeah, and I can't underestimate enough about how someone makes you feel, and just you want to be in their presence, and there's a lightness and they're fun. Like no one wants to be with someone who's depressed. So if you had a bad day at work, you've got to transition from work to, your dating game. And there's nothing wrong with keeping short dates together too, but put some thought and effort into it too. So I agree with everything you always say, Eva.
Thank you. I was just doing another podcast, and I brought up Maya Angelou. She was saying that people are not going to remember what you said, but they're always going to remember how you made them feel.
Yeah.
I think that's a very important part of how you're going to be with a person. If they see the little light in your eyes, just pay attention to the body language. If they're going to lean into you, if they're going to do a little gestures, and if you go out, see how they deal with mistakes. Like if say you got the wrong salad, are they going to scream at the waiter or not? Then you're going to have a very good idea who is that person.
Oh no, for sure, absolutely. And I always think too, to your point about questions, a lot of people, maybe not even on a date, just in all of the interactions, hi, how are you? Always take it further. Like ask open-ended questions, and listening is so important. But there has to be a ping pong, because people get into trouble if it's just one person talking all the time, and you don't want to interrogate like you're in a job interview,
No.
right? So there's a balance too. You want to have the yin and the yang and the nice flow of the conversation.
Yeah, but if you're asking a question and they answering certain things, and you pick up something you like, you can talk about that. Like let's say somebody says that, oh, I traveled here and this is what I liked, and you can be curious and you say, okay, I would like to, and you can bring in what you liked, where you traveled. So it has to be a flow, really. And it's a lot of anxiety for most of the people when they go to the first date. But it's like, just let it flow. Life it's too short, and we taking it too seriously. Just have some fun with it.
Well said.
It's seriously.
Yeah, and travel is a great thing to talk about too, or even aspirational travel. So not everyone has the means to travel, or depending on how old they are. But if someone, let's say, comes from a wealthy family and they've been exposed to a lot of stuff, and someone else has an adventurous spirit and, would love to go those places in the future, that's another thing. You want to see, is there a willingness to do that kind of stuff? So
even if they like to hike, or they like long walks, or they like sports, those are things that you can do in common, but not everything has to be the same things that you like. So, and one thing that I found that it was very important, and through my life, that when you meet a person, that you are taking the time to know them, first of all, and so the other thing that is I find that is important, that if you don't like what the other person does, make sure that they have friends. Because if you have a circle of friends and that one person you depend, how to say it, that person doesn't have a friend, they're always going to be relying on you, so you would feel suffocated. So having friendships are very important from both sides, and the men can go away with their friends, the woman can go away with their friends, and when they get together, they have something to talk about.
Yeah, it's too much pressure for one person to be everything. And that's why you have to bring two complete people together with different distractions. And that's why we talked about some of the relationships, sort of blew up during COVID, because those normal distractions that people had, day-to-day life, didn't have them during that time. So it became a lot for someone. You always have to maintain your own interests, and there's some common overlap, and it's also about respect. So, the more independence is a great thing, and together as a couple, you're complementary and it's a partnership.
Absolutely. And don't expect the other person to make you happy. It's not going to happen. It's too much weight on the other person. You have to find out what makes you happy. And when you are happy, the other people going to come around you, and they're going to be happy because they're going to feel your energy.
Eva, you just read my mind. We're about what Lizzo said. We're about big energy. That's what I always say about people. All of the photos and all of those superficial qualities, when you meet someone in person, it's about the energy that they project. And that's that feeling that you want to be around them, and that positivity. Very, very well said. And that's why I'm saying move from online, to real life now, or at least get on the phone or the Zoom and then meet in real life, because that energy is what people connect to. And that's, the chemistry when you meet in person.
And if you don't want to go with a dating agency, just think about your pictures that you put out. Let's face it, that like the guy with the fishing rod and the fish, it's like, I don't know, it's not attractive. It doesn't.
And men love their fish. This came up in a conversation, my presentation on Wednesday. The women are like, what's with the fish? Especially in BC with all the water, or the water places, right? Photos are important. Bathroom selfies are like a no-go. Like, really think, don't chop yourself off at the head. Like, put some effort into stuff, because we are visual. But, we're more than just that. You have to bring that to life. It's a very loose barometer. And some people are really photogenic, and some people, well, they just have no clue. So that's where other components come into place.
They need some help.
Yeah.
And now let's see what I'm going to leave all the information about you and about your divine intervention matchmaking website, so they can get in touch with you. But let's see how we can help people who want to do an exemplary Valentine's Day.
Okay. Well, there's two things. So I think you and I have talked about this before too. People put so much pressure on Valentine's Day. It's one day of the year. So a relationship should be every day of the year. But yes, it's a holiday and it's about romance. My personal philosophy is Valentine's Day should be about love, period. So there's two distinct groups. There's people who are single, who sometimes feel really sad on Valentine's Day. So we can talk about how to make that day better for those people who feel not so great. And not everyone does, but how do you make that day better? And then the people that are in couples, it could be long-standing or new couples. New couples, the guy has more pressure if it's a heterosexual relationship, because again, the women often have a lot of demands and it expects certain things, versus long-standing. But there's different ways to navigate everything. So what I always say is, if you're single, acknowledge and show love to the people that you do have in your life. It could be your family members, your friends, a neighbor, a pet. Well, there was something great that someone we knew, who bought 12 roses and he would give them to the women that made his life special. Just a single rose with a nose, with a note, not a nose. So, I mean, just when someone does that, that makes you feel so nice. Like, just acknowledge the people who just make your day somewhat brighter, because it's a fact. When you do something nice for someone else, it just makes you feel better. So take the pressure off of yourself and see what you can do for someone else. And you can get together with a group of friends at your place. And even if you just want to chill, I always say too, just do something to indulge yourself. You know, get a special meal, go to the spa, buy something extra special for yourself once you've acknowledged someone else that makes you feel fantastic. And it could just be as simple as a call or a text. I like to acknowledge my girlfriends on Valentine's Day with flowers or cards or chocolates or whatever. Just that universally will make you feel better. You can even go to the hospital and drop something off for someone, or a senior's home, just someone that just needs a little bit more brightness in their life. And at the same time, you can still reward yourself. Those are the singles.
I'm going to tell you what I did. In 2018, I separated from my ex now. And on 2019, I said, what I'm going to do for Valentine's Day. And what I did, I figured out a day to take care of me, because we are women, we are the last to think about ourselves. Mm-hmm. So it's still on the Instagram, all the pictures and the little videos. So what I did, I woke up in the morning, I put up, I dressed up, I put up my makeup, and I live outside of Vancouver, but I went to Vancouver. So I went to a sex shop because they have amazing lingerie and they have games. Then I went to a chocolate place. So I tasted some chocolates. Then I went to a wine store. It's in Yaletown. And I was looking how they set up the tables, and I was asking which wines are the most, people buy the most for Valentine's Day. I asked for the red and for the white. After I went to Lush, because they have those amazing bath bombs, and they have the massage creams. Mm-hmm. And I went to have lunch on my own, and I came home. I did a little video. I had the most fun I ever had for Valentine's Day. And first time the expectations are so high, but I did not have any expectations. I enjoyed my day. And what people say self-love, for me, it's basically respect, self-respect. And anybody can do that, but you can go out with your girlfriends, and you never know, maybe the guys are there with their friends, and you never know, you might meet someone that day. So it's easy.
I love that story. And something makes me think that you always wear your makeup every single day, but I love that you went in and indulged yourself. That's just so well said. And that's the two-parter. You know, you indulge yourself and, you know, acknowledge other people. And you had an amazing day.
And I forgot something. They don't have it anymore. But Sutton Place, they had a chocolate room. For Valentine's Day, they don't have it anymore, unfortunately. The table, the chair, everything was made of chocolate, or they were covered with chocolate. The temperature was kind of cold, but it was like one of those places you don't want to leave because it was so nice. And it's just little things
like that. No, Eva, that's exactly what people should do, for sure. And then we could talk about couples. I think some people don't have expectations. Some people do have expectations. So I think you need to understand what your partner is anticipating, and if they do attribute a lot of value to that day. And again, to me, you know, it's like the wedding versus the marriage. It's one day, but and there's two things that you can do that they show that helps with couples and relationships. So newness, I love when you said you went to a sex shop. That's like so great. So you can go to a sex shop and get something, you know, for your partner to do that night after you have a nice dinner. But new things actually are sort of a reenactment of when you first met, like all the newness and the chemicals and the dopamine. So all of those new experiences are something that couples value. And at the same time, another thing you can do too is the opposite, go down memory lane. So recreate a meal from your favorite holiday if you can. I like simple things, so I'm all for cards. So I love it when I get a card about 10 great reasons why I think you're amazing. So just something like that is just really, really thoughtful. And you just can decide a budget. It's actually interesting because in Canada, people in BC are planning to have the highest spend out of any of the provinces in Canada. So the average is like 130, yes. But a lot of the places jack the prices on the meal. So figure out, if you want a great bottle of wine, bring it home. You can do takeout. And I think it's really important with the love languages that you understand what it is that your partner may like. So some people value gifts. Some people value quality time. Some like the words of affirmation. So just ask your partner what it is that they would like to have happen. And you can even do that quiz online in 5 minutes. It's 5 and then lovelanguages.com. And if the guy's clueless, Valentine's Day is coming every year. Don't wait till February 14th. Oh, there was a financial planner on TV. He was really funny. And he was saying, buy your roses before on the 14th because they'll have a different price point. You can lead up to Valentine's Day. You can write little notes. I mean, it doesn't cost a lot of money to acknowledge someone fabulous in your life. There's so many different things that you can do. And within a budget.
And if you have kids and you want to have one of those special nights at home, and you have some parents, then ship it off to your parents and have a quiet night with a bottle of wine, with some chocolate, with whatever, candles, whatever makes you happy.
Yeah, I personally like having family dinners. I'd have my single girlfriends over all together. You can do stuff afterwards, like exactly whatever makes you happy. But I think it also depends on the stage in your relationship. So there have been studies that show if in a new relationship and one of the partners, like if the man might not acknowledge something with a woman, because that could be like a clue, does he really like me or something? But the potential is there to create some angst. So just make sure that you have an understanding ahead of time and just really communicate with your partner. And you can just say, what would you like to do to celebrate Valentine's Day? How important is it to you? It's a weeknight too. So, what's easy and existing within work. So, but ask the question, like sometimes women test their partners thinking they're psychic and they're going to know the answers to stuff. So just tell someone what you would like to do, like show them the way, show them direction. And I just think people should not wait to the last minute to plan because sometimes you pay a premium for that too. But a card and actually putting thought into the card is something that will go a long way. And I think too, even just framing a photo of yourself that with your partner or someone that you love is a nice way to commemorate Valentine's Day. And that shows effort.
It's funny that some of the things I have on my table, it's like my sister, she wrote me a card for Christmas and it's incredible. And I got for my birthday some cards, and it's what it means, what is inside that is important. And, the people, they think of you and they appreciate you. Everybody wants to be appreciated.
Yeah. Exactly. And you and I are probably very similar. Like we like words of affirmation are nice, or I like acts of service. Another thing too, if you're a new mom and you're really tired or exhausted, you can also do something to give your wife a break. She might want a nap. So that's like an IOU in the future. You have, a few hours off. You can go to the spa at a later date or go for a massage, or you can do little notes on how I'm going to make it up to you later. Because sometimes people just want time and a break. It all depends on where you're at with your life stage.
Having this set time, it doesn't have to be a set time because really love, like we were talking, it's every day. So we can do it any time of the, we can create something special anytime we feel like we want to. But St. Valentine's is the holiday, so what can you do? It's an expectation. Everybody's expecting. Everybody wants to have that big thing. It doesn't work always doesn't work out always like we want to.
And that's why you have to manage expectations. So have the conversation this weekend. What would you like to do for Valentine's Day? Take the stress off. Stress happens when it's last minute, often when it's not planned, when you're scrambling. Make sure you're on the same page. Not everything has to be a surprise. And I just think a card is like the words of appreciation, as you said, is just like the most basic things. Those are the things that I keep going forward. I still have a card from, 25 Reasons Why I Love You from lots of years ago too. And I like looking at that.
And the
Makes you laugh.
And give a hug. The hug, it speaks volumes if it's genuine. And it's so important. People, they are always so busy, and they're running out and they're coming home, and the kids, everything. But you have to stop and breathe and give a hug to the other person, appreciate what they do for you. And they have to appreciate what you do for them. So I think in a nutshell, the relationship things, but also one of the things I'm always bringing up, it's important how people fight. Because
yes.
if they are not like special during Valentine's Day, it's a lot of pressure. They are anxious, and if you start fighting and you're talking in a very disrespectful way, don't expect that the Valentine's Day is going to work out the way you want it.
Absolutely. And that's, conflict resolution is such a key thing. And people can't be afraid of confrontation and having a conflict, because you're going to have ups and downs through life. So you have to learn how to navigate that and not be afraid to bring up issues, and do it in a nice way where you don't hit below the belt, hopefully. Yeah. So you don't ever want to diminish someone, right? And often sometimes too, people repress things and then they blow up because everything's been in there. So yes, absolutely. And don't fight over Valentine's Day. That's why you should have a conversation maybe before about what you should do, and just, manage it that way.
Yeah. So I think kind of we covered most of the things.
Yeah.
Would you like to let the audience know how they can reach you? I'm going to put it below, all the information, but if you would like to tell them how to reach you.
The best way is through our website, which is Divine, DIVINE, matchmaking.com. And there's a big red button. Oh yeah, red is a beautiful color. Always implies like power and sexuality. That looks great in photos, looks great on Valentine's Day if you want to dress up and wear something terrific. If you go out for dinner or even dress up at home, do something extra, just hit start now and you can just contact us that way. And we also have phone numbers on our website. And that's probably the easiest way. And there's Instagram too, which we have a new account at Divine Intervention Matchmaking.
Good. Thank you so much. I had so much fun, and I hope it helped the people who are going out for Valentine's, and also people who just want to go on a date and they thinking about having a serious relationship.
Thank you, Eva. You're always so much fun. I always enjoy spending time with you. So thank you.
It goes both ways. I love you too. Bye.
Thank you, Eva.
Thank you for listening. And until next time, goodbye. And have a happy Valentine's. Yeah.